Hi, Brian.
Hi, how are you, Mel?
Brian Gunshor. Great
Yes.
meeting you.
Great meeting you.
And we're talking today about Woodstock.
Today, from Tel Aviv.
From Tel Aviv. We're going back, how many years is it? 45 years almost.
45 years.
Okay, 45 years ago, you're a sophomore.
At University of Pennsylvania, Wharton School.
Home for the summer in?
White Plains, New York.
Okay, and you hear about Woodstock because?
It's all over the place. It's all over the news, the news reports, video or filmed aerial shots of the crowds, and we knew something was up.
And your friend Scott?
Scott Rosenblum.
Scott Rosenblum. We're going to look him up now.
Oh, yes, we will.
And who convinces whom?
I believe it was Scott who convinced me to go.
She says, Brian, let's go to this thing. We don't want to miss this thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I thought he was crazy. I didn't, but we went.
Okay. And you knew it was in Bethel and not in Woodstock.
That's correct.
All right. So you get into Scott Dad's car.
Yeah.
And you set off from White Plains,
Right.
carrying
ourselves and whatever was in our pockets, and I don't remember what that was. Garnished.
Yeah, a few bucks and then nothing.
Right,
So
exactly.
you did not come prepared.
We didn't know what to expect.
Okay, and you're driving down the throughway.
Up
and you
the throughway.
Up
We're
the
going
throughway
north.
to the
To
Catskills. Where
to the Borscht Belt,
Borscht Belt.
where Woodstock.
Is it near Hunter, New York, or I'm not from New York.
Well, all I know is it's east of. It was west of the throughway, New York State Thruway.
Okay. Anyway, so that's not important.
Yeah.
And you see cars parked, and you say, "Okay, we're gonna have to park."
As we're approaching the destination, we're seeing that cars are not being. They can't. There's a big traffic jam, and people are getting out of their car, pulling to the side, getting out of the cars, unloading their cars, and walking. So they know that they must know something.
Yeah. So you did.
And there were no cell phones then, so you know.
Yes, you parked the car.
Right.
And started walking.
We started walking.
Okay.
And we walked for what seemed miles and miles and miles. I'm guessing it was more, let's say 5 miles just to be safe.
Okay, and you come round a bend, and what do you see?
And you see this ocean of people on the floor and milling around. And it's like being at a baseball game in terms of the volume of the noise of the crowd. But there's a lot of music in the background, and there's a lot of there are people making announcements and issuing warnings on the PA system. And
what are they warning you about?
Oh, they're warning about drugs. They're warning about don't take this mushroom, don't take that button. Be careful of the brown stuff. If you're gonna share with someone, know who you're sharing with.
How hard was it to get a joint? I'm not asking you whether you partook.
It wasn't an issue.
It was not an issue. Were handing joints around.
There were. I've never seen more marijuana or more joints.
So
bongs, lots of bongs too.
Yeah. So even if you were a passive smoker, there are 400,000 people.
You could not be high. If you abstained, you were not abstaining.
Okay, so you spent 2 nights and 3 days there.
2 nights and 3 days in the mud and the rain.
You became a mud child.
Yeah, I was one of the people who did not get naked. I'm sorry to say, but.
So okay, but when we talked prior, you said that like there was this feeling of being in a situation
I knew that
was beyond your control.
Yes, especially when it started to rain and it was muddy and uncomfortable. And you saw all these people around you, and they were exactly the same position. And this brings to mind some unpleasant ideas, as well as what I'm sure you know what I'm talking about.
I don't.
The Holocaust.
Why? That crossed your mind?
No, it did today, just now.
Why?
But I mean, like you know that you are just one of thousands of people. Then you're moving on a parallel path, and there's the course of you have to take the course of least resistance and be part of it, and that's what you were. You were.
So
part
we
of it.
are billion years old carbon. So
Yeah.
you're there with the masses of people.
Exactly right.
Might as well sit down.
Yeah.
Get high and
enjoy the music. Enjoy the music. You know, worry about it. You know, the two things that worried me most was thirst and being able to find a place to relieve myself.
Were there places to eat and drink? You said that you were hungry and thirsty.
On the outskirts, there were people who had set up booths to sell this, that, or the other thing, including brownies, or there were food vendors there, but they quickly ran out of product.
So basically, everybody was hungry and thirsty for 3 days.
If they didn't have their own, if they didn't bring their own,
and you didn't,
supply. And we didn't. We hadn't. So we.
And you stayed till the end. You stayed.
We stayed pretty much till the end.
Jimi Hendrix.
Heard Jimi Hendrix. 60s. We started walking back when he was over, and we saw that people were moving out, and we knew I had to be back in New York the following day. So we started walking back on the side of the thruway, and it was raining and it was ugly.
Did you get much
It was
sleep?
hot and humid. Oh no, forget sleep. There was no sleep to be
It was
had.
music all day, all night.
No sleep to have. No, I mean, if I slept, it was involuntarily.
So basically, except for the helicopters overhead and the people on the PA system,
Yeah.
it was music.
Music, people talking, laughing, joking, playing Jewish geography, talk a lot of politics. People talk politics a lot about
Summer
the war.
of '69.
A lot about the war.
Vietnam.
And it was relevant to me because of what I was going to do right after.
We're going to talk about
yeah,
that in a moment.
Yeah.
I didn't ask you this previously, but was there a musical moment? You talked about Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, Richie Havens.
Richie Havens and Freedom. Richie Havens singing "Freedom" was one.
Yeah.
Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. They were my favorites. So.
Yeah, me too. Blood, Sweat and Tears did it for you?
Yeah. No, I didn't. I wasn't crazy about.
Okay, so I teach my students two magic moments.
Uh-huh.
One is Joe Cocker singing with a little help from my friends.
Oh yeah, that was pretty. Yeah, that.
I mean, do you remember that?
In truth, no, but I have a sense memory of it.
Okay, and the other one was Santana. I mean,
oh yeah,
Woodstock made Santana.
No, that's true, and they had about 5 or 6 good albums, and then they kind of became monotonous. I thought.
Yeah, we're back in '69.
Yeah.
So okay, so it's over. People get in their cars and they go back to their lives.
They go back to their lives.
And in a couple of words, the very next day,
I had my draft physical. I had to go down.
So you managed the very next day to flunk. You flunked your physical.
Yes, to the same place that Arlo Guthrie went, and I had my draft physical, and I went armed with a letter from my doctor, Dr. Friedman, whose daughter was a classmate of mine at NYU Law School, by the way, and I think she became a federal judge, and I had my draft physical. And the doctor's letter got me out, and I was 1Y, and I didn't have to go to Vietnam.
We could have met in Canada otherwise.
Well, that's true, and and I'm sorry to say I've never been to Canada in my life. I wish I had. I'd love to go to Canada one day.
Okay.
See Toronto.
So in conclusion, was this a defining event in your life?
Absolutely. Number one. You can't help but be in a situation like that and not understand immediately that this is a very, very important event in human history.
So it was clear to you then?
Absolutely. I knew that this was a once-in-a-lifetime event. Not merely once-in-a-lifetime, but a once-in-history event.
And you told
me...
It
was unique. It was unique.
Brian, you told me that you have this insight on why there was no violence and so much friendship.
Well, because nobody was prepared for what exactly had developed. Nobody anticipated the number of people who were actually going to come. The fact is that, like however many tickets they sold, they didn't realize that there was no way that they would prevent people from not being able to be there.
Yeah.
And so they went with the flow, and everybody decided in an implicit social contract to be peaceful.
Because there was no other alternative.
What was the alternative? That's right. And everybody seemed to manage to get along. And I'm talking about were there a lot of white kids there? Sure there were, but there was every ethnicity there.
Yeah.
Every single.
And a couple of months later, end of the '60s, you spoke about this. Rolling Stones.
You had Altamont, and because of the
crowd control,
because of the lessons, if you will, that they picked up from Woodstock. At Altamont, they realized they needed security. So who did they call in for security? Hell's Angels, and the rest is also history.
Yeah.
So
that's why I teach my students that for me, the '60s ended with Woodstock, not with the Stones and Altamont. For me, the epitome of the '60s teachings, the smile on your brother, everybody get together.
Yeah, but
the Age of Aquarius, that was Woodstock.
The movie was "Gimme Shelter," wasn't it?
Yeah.
"Gimme Shelter" was part of that. I mean, that movie of Altamont, if not the, but yeah, I mean, the '60s from a cultural standpoint ended with Woodstock and maybe Andy Warhol.
Yeah.
But yes, I would say so.
Brian, thanks so much for this interview.
My pleasure. My pleasure. I'll look forward to seeing it after we edit it.
We're not going to edit it.
Oh, damn.